All right, thank you. I'm so honored to be here with you today, Obehi. So, I am Jamaican. I am a helping professional in Jamaica. I am a mother of two adult children whom I am very proud of. And I am at a part in my development where I am just excited. I'm on a growth pathway, and I'm also on the path where I am helping other individuals to get on their growth path. So, most of my working day is spent with the Department of Correctional Services as an offender management specialist. And I'm also a licensed associate counseling psychologist for the island of Jamaica and a part of the professional body, Jamaican Psychological Society, a part of their executive. And I love reading and I love attending plays. And I love to laugh at myself.
That's interesting. You are dealing with psychologists. Yeah, all that makes sense. Now, give us a little background. Why do you like psychology? What drove you in there? What interests you in it?
I think it's more a calling. Ever since I was a child, I have had that inclination to be helping others. And so, as soon as I got to high school, maybe about fourth form, or it's now grade 10, I realized that this is where I wanted to go. Interestingly, I got sidetracked a little bit and I ended up studying management studies and operating my own business for 15 years. But even whilst I was operating business, I always found an outlet to be helping others. So I was a part of community groups, getting involved with church groups, schools, and for some of that, I was awarded on different occasions for community service. So after some time, it became apparent to me that operating business was not what I was meant to do. So after 15 years, I closed its doors and then I joined the Department of Correctional Services. I also teach. So I teach at the graduate level and I have taught at various institutions and also at the secondary level. So I would say my calling called me back. So I went into probation, started working with young offenders who had run afoul of the law before they were 18 years old, and recognized that to help them effectively, I needed to formalize my skills even better. So I went on to pursue a Master of Science in Counseling and Consulting Psychology, and later a postgraduate diploma in loss, grief, and trauma management. And that has enabled me to work with individuals to help them to facilitate the kind of change that they need to facilitate and the kind of growth. So, starting with the young offenders, I have expanded. And in my private sessions, I counsel with individuals and sometimes families, but mainly individuals, men and women, mainly women though. And I enjoy thoroughly.
Thank you for that. That is really interesting. I also like the way that you refer to it, the correctional expert. That is who you are. It's not like when somebody commit a crime now, it looks like somebody that we're going to be thrown away from the society. We need to give this person a second chance, help the individual to even understand why maybe what he or she has done is wrong according to the codes of the
Right,
society.
right.
So I really find that to be very interesting. Of course, we are talking about the prison system also,
Yes.
in that the society also make provisions for a space where you can go for some time to be excluded from the society so that you can think, know what you have done, and then come back again to the society. And in this small phrase, is a lot of things inside it. But anyway, I will leave that. I will leave that for now because I probably will touch it later. Now, let's take some time to know you because here we are really passionate about our story. Where are we coming from? Who we are.
Yes.
So, where were you born? Tell me something about your young adolescent years. I'm interested in that.
All right, great. So I was born in a little place in St. James. So St. James is one of the parishes in Jamaica. And I was born and grew up in a rural community called Granville. later lived in an adjoining community called Pit 4. I grew up in a single parent household with a very strong mother, strong matrifocal presence. My father, I was told, died when I was just a year old. So I was a year and maybe 2 months. He used to work for the power company here. He was on, well, thank you. And I've been processing that. I've had what they call delayed grief. It was not until I was an adult that I really mourned my father's passing. So I grew up primarily in a single parent household with two younger siblings. So I am the eldest of three children born by my mom, and went to high school, always kind of one of those students who was focused on education. So I went to high school focused. I was always involved in advocacy, and I suppose that's a part of my whole being in terms of helping others, in terms of the counseling field, because I was very involved in advocacy at the student level, always what we call in high school a student council representative, bringing forth the needs of the students to the administration until ultimately in my final year, I was the president of the Students' Council body. And that continued when I went to community college. So, as I was sharing with you earlier, up to that point, I wanted to be either a social worker or someone in the helping professional. Of course, by the time I got to the community college and did in those days what we had as advanced levels, because we were doing the English examinations, now it's HAPE, uh, from a Caribbean perspective. So there's CXC and there's CAPE. So to cut a long story short, there was no psychology at the advanced level, there was no sociology. And so the nearest approximation were the business subjects. And I am from a family of business people as well. So I said, all right. And management studies was trending at the time. So I went to the university and I did a first degree in management studies, graduated with honors, came out, worked in the business field for a little bit. I was in non-traditional lending. And then I felt the pull to start my own business where I stayed for 15 years. Along the way, I managed to get married. I managed to commit my life to the Lord. So I became a Christian. And as I indicated earlier, I have two children. But throughout all of that, maybe nice sounding story, I have had some serious adversities, some serious setbacks. And those have brought out the resilience that is in me. Those situations have allowed me to culture my resilience and counseling from a place of experience and theory, so I can apply the theory to the experience, and it makes it that much more authentic, I believe. So as I shared with you, my father died when I was pretty young. I remember Obehi standing up one morning at 30 years old and just crying for my dad. Prior to that, and I like to say, even to your listeners, that sometimes we have losses and we don't recognize the impact that the losses have on us, but they do. And sometimes we say, oh, life has to go on. So we just go about life and we carry on, not recognizing that there's something deep down. And that's one of the reasons why I went and did further work in grief and loss, because I realized that losing individuals who are close to us, with whom we are connected, can be very, very difficult. And as we say in psychology, it brings us to a new normal. Life never ever goes back to the way we were. So that's the start of my loss trajectory. And then throughout life, I got divorced, unfortunately, at about almost my 20-year mark of being married. Something I pondered and struggled with and grown, but eventually that decision came. And then sometime after that, my younger sister, with whom I grew up, died tragically in an accident, leaving three young boys. And that was something that's almost pulled the rug from underneath my feet. And then,
So sorry about that.
yes, so I thank you for the expressions of condolences, and